Hey folks, welcome back to part 4 of this Blender tutorial series where I show you how to model this JBL Charge 5 Bluetooth speaker. In this episode I'm going to show you how to animate the scene, not this scene, we're going to make something a bit better than that. But before we do that, there's a couple of pieces that we've got to model which I forgot to do in the last episode. So without further ado, let's get to it. Open up your Blender file, you should be left with this. This is what we had last time. The first thing I'm going to do is mute this and I'll show you the piece that we're going to model. We're going to model this button here. Well, it's not a button, it's just a power indicator. And we're also going to apply this exclamation mark from the logo. So we'll just copy that over and add these on the radiators as well. First thing I'm going to do is hit Shift C to center my cursor. I'm then going to hit Shift A, add mesh plane. We're going to edit mode straight away, hit RX90, and then we'll hit S.1, and maybe one more time, S.1. Okay. So I'll go out of edit mode. I'll then drag that down on the Z axis to around about there. Then go back into edit mode, hit SX, we'll scale it on the X axis, and then SZ and scale it on the Z axis. I'm then going to go out of edit mode, I'm going to hit Control 2, which will add a subdivision modifier at level 2. For the render, I'm going to hit 3. I'll go into edit mode, hit Control R, and we'll add a loop cut there. And then maybe Control B, and we'll just drag this out just to round it off slightly, around about there. I'll go into face select mode. I'm going to select all faces, so I'll select this one, hit Control Shift and then this one, and that will select all the faces in between. I'm then going to hit I for inset. We'll take it down to about there. I'll hit I for inset one more time and we'll take it down to round about there. Okay, let's zoom into that. I'm also going to add the materials. So the first material will be the rubber material, and the second material is going to be the emission material. I'm just going to rename this material to emission. Okay. So what we're going to do with this, that looks a bit off. So I might go into edit mode, I'm going to select all the faces, I'm going to hit S, X, and we'll just scale it in on the X axis a bit, around about there. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the modifiers from this JBL logo. I'll select this, go to the JBL Charge 5. I'm actually going to move that object into the JBL Charge 5 as well. And we'll name this Power Indi for Power Indicator. Okay. Hit G, Y, we'll drag that on the Y axis to around about there. I'm also going to hit R to rotate to roughly a median point. Hit R again, just to fine tune it a little bit. Okay, G, Y, we'll drag that out. I'll then shift left click, select the JBL logo. I'm then going to hit Control L to link the modifiers. Okay, with this selected as the active object, I'll hit Z, shade smooth. We've got some issues here. I'll then go into edit mode. I'm going to recalculate the normals, so I'm going to select all the faces. We'll go to mesh, normals, recalculate outside. Still got some issues. That's probably the bevel modifier. I'm going to remove the bevel modifier. We don't need that. As far as the subdivision, we'll take that up to level 3. Yep, level 3 should be fine. I'm then going to hit G, Y, and we'll grab that on the Y axis to round about there. And I'm also going to hit G, Z, and we'll just grab it up one notch as well. And that should be roughly in line with the reference image. So let's have a look. Okay. We'll mute the JBL Charge 5. Yep, okay, I'm happy with that. It's a tiny bit off, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We are going to come into a problem here. If I go into rendered view, it should be emissive on the outside, whereas in reality it shouldn't. Yep, okay. Before I go any further with this, let's just sort out these materials. The reason why the emission is shining on the outside is, if you remember when we made the JBL logo, we set an offset material so it will be red on the rim, but the second material in the slot for this is actually white. It's an easy fix. We'll just select that, we go to solidify, and we turn off the rim. Now what I'll do is I'm going to mute everything on the modifier stack. Let's just bring that out again. Sorry guys. GY. And then we'll go into edit mode, and then we'll select these three interfaces. We'll go to materials, and then we're going to assign that emission material to there. Now when I reapply these modifiers here, that should be working. Okay, so I'm going to hit G, Y, and we'll just drag that until it sticks to the JBL Charge 5. Excellent. I'm happy with that. Maybe we could reduce the solidify, so maybe take that 5 off the end. There we go. Excellent. So now we're going to copy this exclamation mark, and we're going to paste it on this radiator here, on both sides in fact, but we'll use a mirror modifier for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift D, duplicate that logo, we'll drag that out to here. Let's just sort out the rotation as well. So the rotation, that should be 90 degrees exactly. Okay, we're going to front face view, go to edit mode. Ooh, let's just mute these modifiers. We don't need the shrink wrap, so we're going to take that off. We'll probably keep the subdivision and the solidify. Okay, so we're going to edit mode. Hover over this L, hit L, hover over the B, hit L, hover over the J, hit L, and then we'll hit X to delete those vertices. From here, I'm going to go to object mode, set origin, origin to geometry. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. Let's just reactivate the solidify and subdivision. We don't want this red rim around the outside, so on the solidify modifier I'm going to hit 0 for rim, and also on the materials we can delete that from the slot. With the radiator selected, select one of the squares or vertices or anything from this one, and then hover over and hit L. Then we're going to hit Shift S, and we'll do cursor to selected. We'll go out of edit mode. We'll then select this. I'm going to rotate it on the Z-axis by 90, and then I'm going to hit Shift S, selection to cursor, and that should stamp it onto the cursor there. Okay. We'll bring this out, so GX to around about there, I'd say. Okay. Let me just toggle off of that view. Actually, maybe a tiny bit more. No, I'm happy with that. Okay, from here I'm going to hit Shift C to center my cursor. I'm then going to go to Object, Set Origin to 3D Cursor. So now the median point for the object, or the origin for the object, is in the center. I'm then going to hit Control A, and we're going to apply the scale, and we're going to apply the rotation. Now that the scale's changed, obviously it's sticking out a bit more, so I'm probably going to reduce the solidify. I'll take the 5 off the end. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now we're going to add a mirror modifier to bring it over across to the other side. Add modifier mirror, and it should be on the x-axis. I'm going to drag that up to the top, and I'm going to actually apply that. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm also going to add a control system for this, so when it comes around to animating, it should be fairly simple. To do that, I'm going to hit Shift A, and we'll go empty cube. From here I'm going to reduce that down by hitting S, scale that down, and SZ, oh hang on, S shift X, so S shift X, and that will scale on every axis but the X axis. And then we're going to front face and SX. Okay. And I'm actually going to move that to the JBL reference, the JBL Charge 5 collection. Let me just check that I haven't got anything else in there. No, excellent. We'll call this the empty JBL empty. I'm then going to select all the components of the JBL, and I'll shift select the JBL empty, and I'll hit Control P, and we'll use object keep transform. I'll also do the same for the buttons, so I've selected the buttons, shift select the empty, select the buttons, shift select the empty, and then we'll go Control P, object keep transform. So now when I've got this selected, we can move this about and everything follows with it. So now we can actually animate this component here and not have to worry about everything else. I'm actually going to mute the JBL Charge 5, and now we're going to be making like a fake sort of graphic equalizer. Hit Shift A, add mesh cube, go into front face view, go into edit mode. I'm going to make sure all the vertices are selected, and then while in edit mode I'm going to hit G, Z, and we'll drag that up to around about there. Then we'll go out of edit mode, and then I'll hit S.1. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. Then from here I'll go SZ.1. I'm then going to apply the scale by hitting Control A, apply scale. From here we'll go into edit mode, go to face view, and we'll select this face, this top face here. I'll go into the vertex groups over here, we'll add a group, and then we'll assign it to the top face only. I'll go into the modifier section, we'll add a array, and we'll say we'll give it a factor of 2, and maybe we'll have 12. You can do more. For this tutorial I'll just do 12. I'm going to duplicate that array modifier, change the X factor to 0 and the Y factor to 2. So now we've got a nice little grid there. Okay, go into top face view, I then hit G, and I'm going to drag that to around about there. Let's just check for JBL 5 fits nicely in that slot. Yep, excellent. We could even drag this out a bit more. I'll use this, I'll grab this grid again, I'll hit G, Y, and we'll take it to around about there. Maybe a bit less. Okay. From here we're going to apply the array modifiers. I'm then going to go to object, set origin, origin to geometry. Okay, excellent. Maybe the origin should be at the base. Okay, yeah, because the origin's actually in the middle. We don't want that. We'll set it to the base. So I'm going to go into edit mode. I'll then go into X-ray mode and hit 1 for vertex mode. And we're just going to select all the bottom vertices. So I'm hitting shift and then box selecting all the vertices. Okay, and then I'm going to hit shift S, cursor to selected, and that should be directly in the middle at the bottom. I'll go out of edit mode and then object, set origin to 3D cursor. And now if I scale on the Z axis, they should all go up. Yep, excellent. So from here we'll add a modifier, and it's going to be the displace modifier. It's gone a bit crazy at the moment. We'll click new. For the normal direction, we're going to click Z, and we're going to select the vertex group. So now they're all going to displace on the Z axis. We'll want the mid-level to be 0. We'll click this button here, which will take us to the texture slots. We'll select clouds, and then maybe give it a value of 2. I'll take the depth down to 2 as well, just so it's a bit of a smoother animation. We'll go back to the modifiers. Now we're going to need a controller for these. At current, the coordinates are set to local. We're going to set it to object. We're then going to add an object, which will be empty sphere. To move these to a different collection, we'll call it scene. So we'll add a collection and call it scene. Then click this arrow to move them to that collection. Okay. And we'll call this animator. With these cube things selected, we're then going to click this icon here, and we'll just drop the animator. When we move this, as you can see, all those move alongside. We could animate this with noise modifiers on the keyframes, but instead I'm going to do it the lazy way. I'm just going to add a driver on frame 1. So let me just get my timeline up. Okay, so on frame 1, I'm going to select this. I'm going to type in hashtag frame divide by 5. Let's just see what we've got there. Okay, that's animating quite well. Excellent. With this selected, I'm going to hit G, Z, and I'm going to bring this right down to maybe about there. I'm going to hit Alt D to create an instance of it, and then R180 to rotate 180 degrees, and then I'm going to hit G, Z, and we're just going to bring this up to around about there. Okay, let's just see what we've got so far. Maybe we can bring those in a bit closer. I'll select this one, G, Z. That might intersect there, so I'll just bring it up 1 notch. And this one, G, Z, bring that up 1 notch. Okay. Maybe I can actually bring these out a bit, just so we get a bit more depth to the scene. So I'm just going to drag those out to around about there. Maybe we can offset them slightly as well. So GX. Yeah, I'm going to offset these slightly. So I'm going to hit GX. So this is in line with the JBL. And hopefully we won't see the edge here. No, it's still off screen. Okay. Right, to make these look a bit better, they're a bit tight at the moment, I'm going to add a bevel modifier, and we'll reduce the size of the amount down to around about there, and maybe we'll give them some more loop cuts here, like segments. Hit Z, shade smooth, and then select this one, shift select this one, and hit Control L, and we're going to copy the modifiers. Okay, it's going to slow your computer down a bit. For viewport you can bring that down. Actually no, it's best to actually mute the bevel modifiers for viewport performance. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. We should probably tackle the lighting now. For the lighting, I'm just kind of making this up as we go along. I want complementary colours though. So for the backlight, I'm going to hit Shift A. We'll add maybe, let's say, an area light. Okay, we're going to side face view. I'm going to hit R, rotate, and then we'll bring that back on the Y-axis. Okay, And then going to adjust the size of that lamp to say we'll make it a rectangular lamp, and on the x-axis we'll bring it out to maybe 5 meters. Let's just see what we've got here. Okay, I'm going to turn this to blue, and I'll turn the power up to 250 watts, maybe a bit less, maybe 100 watts. Okay, that'll do for there. Let's add a couple more lamps in the scene. So Shift A, add light. We'll go for another area light. This time I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees, and then we'll drag that out on the x-axis to around about there. We'll center it, so GY. Okay, and then I might keep the size as is. Let's just mute the original area lamp just to see what we've got with this one. Okay, so I'm going to turn this to orange because it's the opposite to blue. If they're opposite colours on the colour wheel, then they're complementary. I'll set the value to around 50, and the reason why I'm not going to have it as bright is because we're actually going to have 2 of these lamps. I might set it to disk as well. Okay. So I go into top view, and with that I'm going to hit Alt D, which creates an instance, and the difference between an instance and a duplicate is when I change the value of this lamp, it will also change the value of the original. So I'll hit X and we'll drag that out to around about there, and then R180. Okay, so go into camera view, just activate the render so we can see what we're doing. We'll activate the original camera. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. It's not perfect. Let's turn up the value for the orange lamp to 100. Okay, we're going to put a material on both these objects now. So we'll select this object, shift select this object. I'll go into my material editor. So down here I'll hit shader editor, excellent. Hit new, and then I'm going to also hit Control L to link materials. So now both of these have got the same material. We'll go into rendered view, and we'll just dampen down the look of these, maybe, or even go for a metallic. The roughness, bring down the roughness to maybe 0.333. It's a cool number, I like that number. I'm going to activate the bevel modifiers on these as well, just so I can see what's going on in a bit more detail. So these side area lights, the orange ones, we're going to turn the value right up to maybe 500, and maybe increase the size to maybe, say, 4. Yeah, we're getting some nice edge lighting on here now. Could even turn it up a bit more. Let me just check the bevel modifiers here. They're not looking as tight as I want them. So I'm going to adjust the amount of the bevel modifier on here to maybe 0.01, just for sharper edges, same as this one, 0.01. Okay, so they're both 0.01 now. And then I'm going to render view, see what that yields. Okay, maybe this original area light here, maybe we could turn this into a point light. No, we'll keep it as an area light. Just increase the Y to maybe 2.5. Okay, now we need to light the front. Should I do this with a sun lamp? Yep, we'll do it with a sun lamp. So I'm hitting Shift C to center my cursor to the center of the world. I'll then hit Shift A, add light, area light, no, sorry, sun lamp. I'll drag that sun lamp out so I can see what I'm doing. Hit R, I'll rotate that down to around about there. Let's just have a look at what we've got. Okay, need to turn it up to around about 5 perhaps, and I'm going to increase the angle to 25 degrees just so it's a softer light. Yep, okay. I'm going to select the material for the fake graphic equalizer. I'm going to take the metallic off. I'm going to reduce the base color down to black and also increase the roughness to say 0.75. Maybe turn it up from black to a bit of a lighter color. Something around there. You know, I'm not really happy with that backlight. It seems a bit flat. Maybe we can juice up the orange to a bit more of a richer colour. Okay, I'm going to set it back to metallic. But we'll just have the roughness up a bit. Maybe 0.6. We'll turn the values down slightly as well. Yeah, that's a bit better. We could probably increase the blue to around 200. Yeah, that's better. And we'll increase the orange to maybe 1000. Let's just see what that does. Okay, yeah, we're starting to get nicer rim lights on here now. As far as the area light, the blue one, it's not really producing enough rim light for me there, so what I might do is actually duplicate that light if I can find it. Yeah, so I might duplicate that light, hit Control D, no sorry, Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to bring it up here and then going to hit R90 minus. I'm going to fit the size so it kind of fits the profile of the grid. Or maybe not, maybe I could just do it so it fits the profile. No, I'll do it so it fits the profile of the grid. Okay, so we'll go to square and then we'll just drag that across slightly around about there. I'm gonna have to change the power of it because it might be slightly overpowering. Oh no, it's starting to get a blue tinge over there now, so if I mute these other lights and the sun, you can see we're starting to get a blue tinge here, which is what we want. I'll take it up to 500 watts, maybe 1000 watts. Okay, I'm happy with that. We'll reintroduce the side lights and the backlight. We can reduce the power of the backlight now to maybe 100. Okay, that's a lot better. And then we'll reactivate the sun so we can see what we're doing here. Okay, I'm going to open up my timeline. We'll go to timeline. I'm going to set this to maybe 120 frames. Keep it short and sweet. These are just the basics, you know. I advise you to explore this in a bit more detail. I'll select the controller object for the JBL speaker. And so to animate this, we're going to be animating the camera. We're also going to be animating this controller here. I might just give this a wobble, so I might actually use, if I can find it, we'll go to the graph editor. Okay, drag this down, it'll give us a bit more room. On here, I'm going to hit I on frame 1 and maybe location. No, okay. I've hit I on the rotation factors. I'm going to select the modifiers. I'll then go to this tab here on the graph editor. We'll select X rotation. We'll hit add noise modifier. It's going to go a bit crazy, especially if I turn the strength up to say 5. We'll increase the size to say 10. I'm just going to mute these things there so we can see what we're doing. Okay, that's turning way too much. Maybe the strength down to 1. Maybe size 25. Yep, okay. Now we're going to restrict the frame range because I've only got 120 frames here. I'll click restrict frame range, and the start point will be 1, the end will be 120, and we want it to blend in over 60 frames and blend out over 60 frames. Okay. Kind of happy with that. Maybe we can turn the power up to 2, see what happens there. Excellent. So now I'm going to copy this modifier and I'm going to paste it on the Y rotation, and then I'm going to change the phase so it changes the noise pattern. It's like a different seed. Then we've got kind of a wobble going on. I'll copy that modifier and I'll paste it onto the Z rotation. Again, we're going to change the seed. Let's just see what it looks like with these elements in place. So it's kind of like floating around in space. Maybe we can also do like dolly zoom. With the camera selected on frame 1, I'm going to reduce the focal length to say 24mm. It's good cinematic focal length. We're going to zoom in to say -0.3 meters. I'll add a keyframe there, and I'll add a keyframe on the focal length. We'll go to the end. I'll add a keyframe on the focal length, and we'll add a keyframe on the location again. We only need the Y really. So I just take the things off of there, and then say on frame 60 we want the focal length to be 70mm. I'm going to hit I over there. We'll click that tab to add a keyframe, and then we'll drag the location on the y-axis back to around about there, -1 meter. So then when we play, we've got kind of like a dolly zoom effect going on, and it should be a continuous loop. I think the JBL should be moving slightly faster. Want it upbeat. What I'm going to do, I'll just mute the cubes. Yeah, it's a bit slow. I'm going to change the scale of these modifiers here to say 15. I'll hit Control C to copy that number, then Control V to paste it in, Control V to paste it in. Yeah, so it's moving a bit faster there. Okay. I'll render that out, and I'll put the clip in the end of the video. That's pretty much it. I mean, you know, render settings, you should do by now. So I'm going to take reflective and refractive caustics off. I'll go to sampling. I'll say 512. No, actually we'll stick with 1024. 1024. I'll reduce the noise threshold to 0.025 because that will render faster. I'll also set the output to PNG, RGB, and we'll have say 50% compression. If it's a PNG file, compression is usually lossless. You can have your compression up, you'll save on file size. That concludes this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found value in this, please consider liking and hitting the subscribe button. The next tutorial I'm working on is going to be a cracker. Thanks for watching.